I take full blame. Actually, could he still have comboed off? Well, no, he would have lost the Sun Home in the Radiant Fountain, right? Yeah, I fully blame myself for this. Because if we played because we already had what we would have tutored with the Solari West anyway. So last turn I could have played Astertold, attacked with the Goyfs, balanced sacking our forest. He would have been on just 2 land. He probably would have just been on 2 forests. Now 2 forests plus the Boros Garrison with 2 amulets would still cast Titan, but he wouldn't have had Sunhome. He wouldn't have had the Sunhome, and I think that's going to make all the difference. I think that'll make all the difference. Yeah. I mean, it's a good lesson. I should have played and I think that'll be part of the skill of this deck is when it's appropriate to hold the Solarios and when it's correct for me to play them out. You know, it was right for me to play them out. Now, in fairness, he would have gotten the Titan on the table sooner if I hadn't Ghost Scored the Solari because this represented +2 mana at the time, and he just needed +2 at the time, didn't he, for the Titan, or was I miscalculating? And maybe that was preemptive on my part. Maybe I should have waited for a Karoo land. Yeah. I think the two play mistakes we could have done, or the two plays we could have done a little different was where we used the only deck that's settled in stone. He's able to play double Titan here. Balance wouldn't have made a difference. The deck that I'm playing for Legacy is already set in stone, but go ahead, F6. The modern deck is not, and that's just because modern's kind of, I don't know. I'm not especially like sure I want to play a Thoughtseize deck. I mean, a lot of the Astrotol decks really the only thing I really want to play for sure is Astrotol. Let me show you the version of the deck I wanted to show you guys that I've been working on. I was working on while I was doing some real life stuff today. In between, let's see. So I threw this together and I actually really like this idea. Because there's a deck that I really like that exists in Sultai colors already, and it was the Delirium deck, the Sultai Delirium. I actually really like that deck, and I'll show you my take on it with this. It had 2 traverses, so it wasn't like all in on the traverse. It was like just 2. Because I think these are hard to turn on. You know, like I don't know if I like them like in the playset. You know, let's see, traverse, architect. And I wasn't gonna necessarily run like like a lot of these traverse decks they run like an Emrakul and like I mean that's okay, but I don't think it's necessary. And like maybe an Architects of Will or 2. What else was I gonna do? All right, -3. Let's board. So how will we beat the Amulet Titan? Rejection counters. I mean, Nature's Claim is a better option though. Claim blows up the Amulet. Pact is good. That's about it out of our sideboard, isn't it? I don't really think we want anything else. Pushes. There are things that can be pushed. I think Devour Flesh is awkward because they have the little mana dorks. I think Brutality might be better because it kills a mana dork and takes a pact. Loams have to stay in. Maybe you cut a Dark Heart. Dismember's not that great either, but maybe it's Worm Harvest comes out. Maybe it's better than some of the other tools we have. Would Creeping Corrosion be too slow? I think so. Maybe not, but I feel that's the case. I mean, if you want cheaper answers to Amulet, it's Rejection and Claim, with Rejection being... I guess their deck really is built, right? They have a hard time resolving Titan without at least 1 Amulet. I mean, maybe you could justify those. I think that's a little deep, but maybe not. Because, like, Explosives answers Amulet, but Amulet's already hit the table. So, like, maybe that's a fine switch. And then Lily's a little slow. Maybe you want to just do that. Dismember's still worse than Rejection. Okay. I mean, again, maybe the Devour Flesh is even better than Dismember on the play. Alright, let's rock. So let me keep showing you guys kind of what I was thinking. I have the deck list on my phone. Let's see what else I was thinking. I was thinking stuff like... Actually, not too much more. Not too much more than this. Like I wanted a tutorable mage. I wanted to be able to find the scavenging ooze, and that was about it. Like I wanted to be able to find this, this, and this, and maybe an architect or two. That's about it. I mean, a lot of players that have been doing the Traverse the Uvenwald, like they'll include like uh, they include like Emrakul, like Delirium Emrakul, and I think that's cool. I mean, that's totally like if your deck is built to do specifically but this also finds lands, um, and I think that's important, and I think that's a side of Traverse that isn't really what's the word I'm looking for, utilized that much in Modern, and we have some spicy targets for the Traverse. Not just in the vein of creatures. Like, sure, we could run some of these creatures, and maybe we could even run like a where's Emrakul? Where are you? Emrakul. I'm sure I passed over it a million years ago. Oh, you know what? I think they just tried to get fancy and not actually put the word delirium on Emrakul. Wasn't it the case? Like, yeah, this one. Yeah, they were trying to be fancy and not actually put the word delirium on it. I mean, I'd be more in the vein for Ish, like Ishkana or something, you know? I guess they're not. He's not big enough for Modern anymore. It's crazy to say that, but like these kind of finishers are interesting to me, but I think they're unnecessary. I think the deck can totally win just off of bullets and big goifs and flayers, you know, and Astrotold drawing. I think these are a cool idea, but if I'm only going to run a couple traverses, I think these are overkill, and that frees us up for like the third fatal push. That frees us up for a mean deck Dismember. That gives us room for a main deck Devour Flesh. Like that's a 60 right there that I'd be interested in playing. I feel like we just didn't have enough critter removal, or maybe just the second Abrupt Decay. Like if now here's the problem is the whole Traverse the Uvenwald conundrum is we really do need like things to cycle like Architects or like Mishra's Baubles to turn on the Traverses. So it's like, do you run more Architects than you would run something like Traverse, or do you run more Traverses than you would run Architects? I like Devour Flesh. Um, but do you see my kind of my thought process there? I actually don't know if I want this third Fatal Push. There's a lot of people migrating to Tazagurs and Gurmags because of Fatal Push. Why don't we keep our removal kind of flexible? So we've got like as far as like specific to creature removal, like we'll have these four. So two pushes and then a Devour and a Dismember, and then we also have like decays that can double as critter removal, explosives and brutality also kind of add to that suite. And then yeah, I like incorporating like a small like a toolbox traverse, not like a oh toolbox is my win condition. Like we already have a win condition in the deck. We're grinding people out with card draw. We're tearing their hand apart. We're removing what's important. We're blowing up all their lands. Like I think we've already got like that part of the deck. I figured the Traverse deck, we did briefly talk about it. The Traverse deck is interesting. Um, and I think Traverse being able to fetch up either another big threat or Graveyard Hate in the form of Ooze, or if you need something that's more just boom, their whole graveyard's gone, we can just search up the Bajuka. I think the land search side of Traverse isn't glamorized. It isn't popularized. It isn't. But like being able to find any land is actually really nice. Like we can go find Tolari West. I mean, yes, tutor into a tutor is slow, but like traversing into a Ghost Quarter or traversing into the Bajuka Bog, I think is fine for certain matchups. Like we played against Dredge a bunch, and I was like, man, I really wish we had more Tolari Wests to go find the Bajuka, but like a Delirium to traverse would do the same thing. They would go find the Bajuka Bog. So this is an interesting idea. It's just an idea I had. I'm not sure if we want to actually do it, but I had thought about it because we already were adding Architects of Will because we were like, man, we really want these Flayers to be Delirium. We really want to grow these Goyfs. Somebody suggested Architects, and then I started looking at Architects, and I was like, oh, like Architects is usually paired in the same deck as Traverse. So why don't we stop denying ourselves these tools? Like that's already like it's already something in our colors. The Delirium style deck is already usually these colors. So Why don't we take some of that toolbox, some of that synergy, go ahead and incorporate it into what we already have. Did I try the Living End? I didn't, Glandizzle. I did not. Devour is very strong versus Shadow. It is. Giving an opponent with Devour seems suboptimal, however. Yeah, I mean, you need to be careful when you use it, I would say. I would not necessarily keep this against my opponent's deck. This seems better or maybe worse. The last hand at least had a push. I mean, this has Loam, but it doesn't have Ghost Quarter. This doesn't have an answer for Amulet, either. Let's look for a 5. This 5 technically has an answer for the Amulet, but it doesn't have... But it also has Thoughtseize. Like, it has 2 things I really want, 2 things I don't really care too much about in the matchup, and then I don't... We only kept this in because I wanted to be able to balance for Geddon. The Ghost Quarter is so awkward here. I think we probably have to mulligan, but I kind of want to keep and see if we can just get lucky. I think the issue with my 6 and my 7... I mean, they played Magic, it's just they don't play Magic against Titan. If you're fine on double black, Victim of Night. I think the issue was our deck doesn't pull off double black. Like, the new version I was brewing on my phone didn't have anything to do with double black. Like, we cut the Damnation, we cut this, I think I cut the Garrick, I cut the Lily. I cut all the double black stuff except technically Dismember, but that doesn't really count. Actually, Fulminator does count. Fulminator was going to be the exception because I couldn't really find anything else in any other color that did that on time. Like, I actually embraced the Traverse the Uvenwald a little bit more. I think Control is a popular like deck to play in paper, like just Control decks in general. Like on Moto, I don't think I would play Thrun, but in paper, maybe I will want something like Thrun. I wasn't gonna cut. I wasn't gonna run that. I wasn't gonna run that. I wasn't gonna run that. I was gonna remove this. Like there was a lot I was gonna cut. Maybe keep the Maelstrom Pulse, and then I was gonna put a Fairy Macabre. Because I had cut some of our other Graveyard Hate, and then I was going to run a Spellskite, I think? Well, we'll talk about it after this game. I have to draw. I have to top deck and land. Oh, baby! Wow! We did it. Freaking amazing. Wow. He's got another Titan, though. What are we supposed to Ghost Quarter out of these lands? The Simic Growth Chamber? Yeah. You gotta hit the Simic Growth Chamber. Definitely, that's what you hit. This is what we're dealing with. What about a sideboard copy of Living End? Life gain does hurt, Shadow. Okay, so he's bogging us. Yeah, that's reasonable. I mean, we're a Delirium-ish style deck. Like, yeah, it just shrunk my Goyf. It did. I mean, I'm still gonna play Goyf. No blue to suspend the Ancestral. Yeah, these are just some of the things I've been thinking about stream, and then it's like we have room for like a Throne if we want it, a Fairy Macabre if we want it. What else was I considering? Maybe like a Spellskite, maybe another Collective Brutality. Like Devour Flesh is very strong against both types of Shadow. I would argue that I kind of want a second copy of that in the sideboard for when they are actually Shadow. Just bringing it in is kind of cool. Also useful against Bogles. I assume there's going to be some Bogles. Bogles can give Death Shadow fits. It can. So, I've seen plenty of Bogles show up recently. What else was I going to maybe run? I did reconsider the Knight of Souls Betrayal. I'm not sure. If we're not going to be running... if we're not going to run Garrick and we're not going to run Worm Harvest, I do want to consider this card. It's very powerful in the right matchup, like any sort of Lingering Souls or Manadork's deck. Spellskite, a tunable Spellskite was what I wanted, and then what was the last thing? Golgari Charm we were considering. Although, I'm worried we don't have enough stuff for Affinity now that I cut the Nature's Claims. This hits, well, this is useful against Affinity, even though you're not destroying an enchantment. Like, a lot of their creatures die to the -1/-1, actually. Man lands. Quite a few of their threats actually die to this, so maybe that's fine. So it looks kind of something more like this now, and we've got like Fairy Macabre and Thrun